November is all about gathering, Friendsgiving, Thanksgiving, and football weekends. Total Wine & More has everything you need for your table and your toasts, with thousands of wines, spirits, and beers at the lowest prices. From bold reds to sparklers and smooth bourbons to tequilas made for celebrating, Total Wine has it all. With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love only at Total Wine & More.
Curbside pickup and delivery available in most areas. See TotalWine.com for details. Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Drink responsibly. B21.
In a so-called free state, officials and stakeholders concoct solutions to problems often created by other bureaucrats and with little regard for infringements on the people. These stories are born at the apex of freedom and entrepreneurship. We foolishly advocate for the taxpayer. Brian's Beat presents Freedom Fools.
Hour 2 of Freedom Fools on WBSM. I'm Brian. Our quote of the day: I've got a theory that if you give 100% all of the time, somehow things will work out in the end. That quote from Larry legend, Larry Bird. So I tried to find the name of the bill we were talking toward the latter end of hour number 1 about this legislation, which I'm sorry, I still don't have a name for it, but it's based off of 2 women now, but when they were 16 years old. I guess what happened during the process that these then girls were groomed, and when they became the age of 16, an advisor, a high school advisor, had sex with one of them. I'm not sure if they both had sex with the same person. One claimed that she was raped on a yoga mat. Now, here's what it is. I don't think it matters what age you are. If it's unwanted sex, that's a sexual assault. Maybe it's rape, depending on the extent of what went down. And so I'm reading here, that year he orally raped me under his classroom table. This is what a student testified up on Bacon Hill. She goes on to say, after I turned 17, he raped me again in his classroom closet on a yoga mat. Now, that sounds like rape. I don't understand why age is playing any role in this. If it's unwanted, if you're saying he raped you again, it tells me that he raped you at least one other time. And rape, by its name, is a crime. So there may be something dealing with a statute of limitation that says, well, they can't claim rape. And so now, and this was just one girl, her name is Melissa. There's another, Jen Falcone, testified about being preyed upon when she was in middle school. I don't know how many girls under the age of 16 are in middle school. I should say 16-year-olds are in middle school. But Jen Falcone goes on to say children that are not allowed to smoke, vote, or drink alcohol are somehow supposed to protect themselves from adult sexual predators? The now woman goes on to say what started out as compliments and extra attention turned quickly into molestation, rape, and then trafficking, all within the walls of the school building. Am I missing something here? Isn't what she is talking about, aren't those crimes? trafficking, molestation, rape. Maybe the legislature is looking at this and saying, it's not that we need to change the age here. You need to file for a different crime if you're alleging rape. Now, it may be that when you get into a court of law, it might not turn out to be that way. I'm not trying to say it is or isn't. I don't know. But I can see a huge problem trying to change the age here of, and it's not really changing the age of consent. It is basically stating that no school personnel can have sex with any student. And on the surface, that looks great. Who would want any student to have sex? Well, wait a minute. What if that, okay, because students, at least when I was in high school, we had some 18 and very few 19-year-olds. And you're going to try to say that an 18 or a 19-year-old can't have sex with another consenting adult? And read my lips, though you can't see them, consenting. And so I see the legislature having, maybe it's a bitter pill to swallow with this. Your thoughts, 508-996-0500. So I mentioned earlier about the SNAP benefits and how the Supreme Court is now stepping in or has stepped in to basically block full SNAP payments. I did pick up the phone during the commercial break to call over to the DTA and basically the Department of Transitional Assistance. And they are on their recorded message talking about partial payments. So maybe folks got a partial payment. I don't know. I don't know. If you or someone you know is on SNAP, I'm curious because yesterday Maura Healey was touting the fact that full SNAP benefits were coming out. She made that statement thinking that the Trump administration was going to fully fund SNAP. And then I believe the Trump administration made a statement that they would. But at the same time, they were going through the U.S. Supreme Court to try to get a stay because they don't want to fully fund it, or at least they're challenging the aspect of having to fully fund for the month of November, basically crying that they don't have the money. And so Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown-Ketanji, she put a halt on those payments. And for those that might wonder, Ketanji Brown is a Biden appointee. So she must, my guesstimation is she must see some kind of merit in the government's case. And so she is allowing a halt until basically the full court can hear an appeal. No idea what's going to happen with it, but it's out there. There's another story, again, Supreme Court story that came up yesterday, and I'm not exactly sure what day it's going to make the Supreme Court agenda. But basically it deals with maybe overturning the Supreme Court's decision legalizing same-sex marriage. Their decision was nationwide. Massachusetts, as you know, they were at the pioneer of same-sex marriage in the early 2000s. And so I'm wondering if maybe you believe the same-sex marriage law nationally or even here in the Commonwealth should be curtailed, overturned, thrown out, disallowed. 508-996-0500. Thank you. Hello.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The sun is out.
Yes, it is.
The SNAP benefits, it's been back and forth for the past couple of weeks. And it took me a while to get onto it this morning on the DTA Connect. But now it's saying that everyone's going to receive their full expected amount. And they're working on it.
So they're going to receive is there a timestamp on that?
No, but my guess is they're going to be a little bit behind because normally they start coming out on the first of the month. That's my understanding. But so, it might be a few days. It says on the DTA Connect that within the next few days up to the next week, everybody who expects payments will receive their full monthly allotment. But it does not give anybody credit for it. It doesn't say, of course, they're not going to say, Donald Trump stepped in and took care of it. They've been railing against him.
But I would expect them to say that they stepped in to take care of it. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, none of that is, but that's what I've heard. I've heard both sides. I've heard that Maura Healey said that she was going to step in and fund everybody fully. But then I heard, around the same time, they happened just about the same time, Donald Trump said he was going to do it. So now it's up for debate who did it first. Now, the overall question I would have is who's got the advantage now? Who made the better chess move with this? Because that's what it is. It's a game of chess. Is because they've been railing against Donald Trump, saying that he's holding it back. The Republicans are holding it back. When the more intelligent of us know that that's not factually true. It's government being shut down that stopped it. And to say that Donald Trump can just go to the USDA and have them open it up. No, he can't because the USDA is shut. Government's shut. So technically he can't go in there and do that if their doors are closed until Congress steps in and decides they can reopen. You know what I mean?
I hear you loud and clear on that. It's amazing. Somebody can always issue an emergency order. And I think that's what's happening here. Because even if it's 65%, somebody's got to go in there and make it happen.
Yeah. For the DTA to go ahead and just come right out and blame it on Trump, they don't have to make it political. They don't, especially if it's patently false.
I think everybody is making it political. You said it earlier. I've said it numerous times. This is a chess game out there. They have made it past the November election. They want us always to be in election mode. They're thinking about November 2026 right now.
Right. How could we make the Republicans look bad? How could we hate on Donald Trump and how can we get voters out of this? Okay, we'll do this. We'll hold everybody's food stamps hostage and then blame it on Trump.
Well, look, as you say it like that, if you did a survey there have been plenty of surveys already, but if you look around the country, people that are being asked, they are blaming it on Donald Trump, because whether it's right or wrong.
Them to.
Oh, well, look, it's a chess game. Part of that chess game is PR.
Right, and it's unfortunate, but we're supposed to be very smart people. We're supposed to be able to form our own opinions, and not be so gullible. But people are allowing themselves to be persuaded one way or the other, based on lies a lot of the time. And it makes me sad. It's too bad.
And it should.
What you were talking about earlier on and I kind of missed it. I haven't been following along. You were talking about the age of consent in Massachusetts.
So it is not so much the age of consent. I don't see anything in this, and I haven't read the full bill yet, but there are some girls that are claiming that they were sexually assaulted when they were 16, 17 years old in school. And the age of consent for school personnel to have sex with a student is 16. And what the legislation aims to do is to disallow school personnel to have sex with students.
That makes sense to me. There have been some really shady things that go on in schools that are oft ignored by the administration. And, I think that that's fair. I think that maybe it shouldn't have to be legislated, but people should know what's right and, what's morally right and what's morally wrong without the law telling us one way or the other. That's my take on it anyways, but I think teachers should, they're in a position of authority. They should stay in that position. They should not abuse that position and turn it to a position of power over young minds, impressionable minds like that.
And I agree with you 100%. What about the student that is 16, is of right mind, if that can be stated for somebody that's 16, that wants to consent to have sex with a teacher or could be the custodian?
Parents could agree with that. Parents would probably disagree with that, I should say.
I think you're right.
I have a son. I don't have a daughter. Thank God I don't have a daughter, because that's something that I know that I would have to eventually think about.
Think about. Yeah, I know what that think about means too.
You know what I mean? I'd have to take, make some serious considerations, make some serious life choices.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that should be natural. It's a moral thing. We shouldn't allow it to happen. I think that they should raise it up. Now, I would mention, and I'm going to deviate off the topic just a little bit, but I'm going to say they're talking about lowering the voting age to 16 because they feel like 16-year-olds are mature enough and knowledgeable enough to be able to have their voices heard in the polling booth. In the ballot box. Now, that I disagree with because these children have not had enough life experience to guide that decision at the ballot box.
I think that makes perfectly good sense. I think 18, look, you're an adult at 18. You can legally join the military at 18. 18 is the voting age. In fact, 18 should probably be the drinking age and the cigarette age and stuff like that. Since we have decided 18 is you can commit a murder and get life in prison without parole at 18.
Well, how many 18-year-olds out there have their own apartments? How many had to move out of their parents' house when they graduated high school or whatever, and they live on their own? They're living life experiences. They have to get a car. They have to pay bills. They have to do this. They have to be working. At 18, they've been legally able to work for at least a couple of years. When you're 16, that's not the case. You don't have those life experiences to guide to assist in your forming an opinion on life experience, on what's going on out there in the world.
I
So
agree.
I would at least give these kids a little while. A couple of years is better than nothing. At least these kids have been able to work. They know what a 40-hour work week is, or, a part-time job is. They know how to pay bills. They know things about life. They know life to the extent that an 18-year-old would know, but not a 16-year-old, because they're just kids. They haven't even experienced that yet. So all they know is what the teachers have told them in school. And what if those teachers are BSing the kids and, this whole woke thing? What if that's all the kids have to go on? That's what they're going to bring to the ballot box. But when they're 18, they've at least had other experiences to bring them back around.
Look, I can't argue anything that you stated there. Very well said.
All right. You have a good day.
You too. Yeah, I wasn't really going down that road, but I would agree that there's no need to change the voting age to 16. If you think so, make sure it's in a different town than the one that I live in. 508-996-0500. The Associated Press put this out last evening. A call to overturn the landmark Supreme Court decision legalizing same-sex marriage nationwide is on the agenda Friday for the Justices' closed-door conference. Now, I'm reading this as it's on the agenda to happen Friday the 14th. Among the new cases the justices are expected to consider is a long-shot appeal from Kim Davis. Kim Davis, the former Kentucky court clerk who refused to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples following the court's 2015 ruling. Davis had been trying to get the court to overturn a lower court order for her to pay $360,000 in damages and attorney's fees to a couple whom she denied a marriage license to. And the court could decide as early as Monday if they will indeed take up the case. That's a little confusing. They could decide on Monday about something that could make the agenda on Friday. I think what that means is they will decide on Monday if indeed they will consider on Friday to take up the case. At any rate, 15 years since the Supreme Court decision making same-sex marriage nationwide, it's been over 20 years here in the Commonwealth. Is there any reason to turn back the hands of time with same-sex marriage? Are folks comfortable enough right now? I remember having a conversation with a then Beacon Hill lawmaker, and I said, by the time the Supreme Court hears this case, State Supreme Judicial Court hears this case, people are going to be comfortable with it. Because if I recall correctly, it was still allowed to be in place through the Supreme Court, the State Supreme Judicial Court making its decision. And I know that there were people fighting, and I think even people at this radio station were actually trying to spearhead, trying to make sure that same-sex marriage didn't happen. I'd really be curious now to hear how some of those people who were against it prior to 2004, what's their thought process today? You may not like it, but have you at least gotten to the point where you are accepting of same-sex marriage? I'm not even, if the Supreme Court listens to the case, anything could happen. They could overturn it. And my guess is if the Supreme Court decides to take up the case, that our dear president will make comments one way or the other. And I have no idea how he feels on the issue. Certainly when the decision was decided back in 2015, he may have been a candidate. I don't recall him running on trying to overturn same-sex marriage. Maybe that's something I missed because I was too preoccupied with other things that were a little bit more important to me in life at that particular time. Justice Thomas was one of the 4 dissenting justices back in 2015. Chief Roberts, Samuel Alito, they're the other 2 dissenters at that time. It was a 5-4 vote. And I think Scalia was the other dissenter, but 5 people voted. You know, it could change with the makeup of the court right now. Justice Amy Coney Barrett, who was not on the court in 2015, I'm reading from the Associated Press, has said there are times when the court should correct mistakes and overturn decisions, as it did in 2022, that ended a constitutional right to abortion. But Barrett has suggested recently that same-sex marriage might be in a different category than abortion because people have relied on the decision when they married and had children. I guess I could take her word to say, well, people relied on the decision to have an abortion, to, be that as it may. Basically, what happens here? This woman, her name is Kim Davis. She was a state of Kentucky court clerk. And court clerks, just like your city clerk, issue marriage licenses. Well, in 2015, the ruling was that people that were of the same sex could marry, but she, Kim Davis, did not want to issue a marriage license to same-sex couples. She tried to get the decision overturned in a lower court after she was ordered to pay money because she was in defiance of the law. That did not work. In urging the court to take up her case, Davis's lawyers repeatedly invoked the words of Justice Clarence Thomas, who alone among the 9 justices has called for erasing the same-sex marriage ruling. So my guess is Justice Thomas, if given the opportunity, again, he would vote to not allow same-sex marriage. Do you think the Supreme Court should take up this issue again? And if they do, would you be in favor of the U.S. Supreme Court voting to overturn same-sex marriage? What then happens? Do you tell the people that are married, have been living great lives, that they're no longer married? I'm sorry, I'm against that. And if the court can overturn same-sex marriages, what would be next? Overturning interracial marriages? Interreligious marriages? How far do we let this go? And I bring this up because, quite frankly, look how many same-sex marriages there are here in the Commonwealth, never mind the entire country. So I think that sometimes you just let sleeping dogs lie. That's my opinion. I think that there are a lot of closet people here that, good, get rid of same-sex marriage. And even family members. Can you imagine how many families have been broken up because of same-sex marriages? I know that there are people against it. I mean, what harm have they done? Here we are, 2025, nationwide ruling for a decade now. Here in the Commonwealth, we're talking 20 years. Have you seen any physical harm that's been done? Have you seen any mental scarring because of same-sex marriage? Now, I'm not trying to say that there aren't families that are hurt because of the decision, but you remember the story, if you allow one to happen, everybody's going to end up doing it. I don't know that everybody's done it. I think people that wanted to do it turned around and they got married. We have same-sex married couples occupying governorships in the legislature. Teachers. Are we really going to tell them you've been doing a fine job, now you can't? I think even the military. And I know there are lots of questions about homosexuals in the military, but I don't see anybody kicking them out. 508-996-0500.
Give me liberty or give me death.
This is WBSM.
Bring out the helmets and bring out the best.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rate you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-221-6085. 800-221-6085. 800-221-6085. That's 800-221-6085.
Here for the Lowe's early Black Friday deals? You're right on time for some of our biggest savings. We're talking up to 50% off select major appliances, plus up to an extra 25% off when you bundle select major appliances. Holiday lights going up soon? Select ladders are up to 50% off right now. Get Black Friday prices without the Black Friday crowds. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 11/19. Selection varies by location. Select locations only. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
November is all about gathering, Friendsgiving, Thanksgiving, and football weekends. Total Wine & More has everything you need for your table and your toasts, with thousands of wines, spirits, and beers at the lowest prices. From bold reds to sparklers and smooth bourbons to tequilas made for celebrating, Total Wine has it all. With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love only at Total Wine & More.
Curbside pickup and delivery available in most areas. See TotalWine.com for details. Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Drink responsibly. B21.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
There's no better fool than the Freedom Fools. Now, back to Brian.
I said our government's a way, way, way too big.
governments are way, way, way too big. You know that governments are way, way, way too big. So tell us what you gonna do to make it small. Your move.
In only 2 hours a day, our students are learning twice as fast as students in the rest of the country.
I found that last night on the program, we got to talking about artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence actually taking over teaching. And I said, this is something that I might want to advance. For some of you, you might remember we used to do the educational focus. And for a number of reasons, parents and students are making the conscious decision to leave the traditional school system. They're trying to get into charter schools. People voted basically to not allow more charter school licenses, so that's difficult. They're looking at learning centers and private school, homeschooling, because they're frustrated with the system. And the number one frustration of parents and the student is this whole thing dealing with safety. The other part of it is the amount of time that our kids spend in school. You talk about hiring daycare. Well, if your child is getting on a school bus sometime around 7 a.m., and I see the kids at the bus stop right around the corner from where I live, they're standing at that bus stop before 7. And I know this because when I do my walk in the morning, I walk by them. They're standing there chatting with each other. Some would look at their phones. Some just don't want to be bothered talking to any of the other kids. But they're waiting at prior to 7 a.m. Prior to 7 a.m. They are waiting for the Dartmouth Middle School bus to take them to Dartmouth Middle School. Now, I have no idea how long that bus ride is. I know that if I'm driving my car, I could probably be there in 7 to 10 minutes. But buses make stops and they have routes, so it probably takes longer. But what I'm getting at is they're getting on the bus before 7 a.m., and then they're getting home sometime around 3. That's an 8-hour. It's like we're working an 8-hour day. Going off to school, going off to work, then getting at work, and everything that goes on during that day. Where, as you heard Mackenzie Price stating, the kids that are doing the AI learning, their school day is 2 hours, and they're getting more in that 2-hour period than the kids are getting in going to Dartmouth Middle School. Could be no Mandan. It could be Hastings over in Fairhaven. So it is time to rethink the educational model that has been put into play. And artificial intelligence is going to be a key factor in this change. Now, am I expecting the traditional school department to want to make this change? Am I expecting the teachers union to want to make this change? Because they're, if you think about it, the union and the school department, they're going to be the biggest losers in this particular case. Let's start with the school department. You won't need anywhere near as many schools. So you won't need the extra employees that are non-teacher employees. You won't need the additional administrators. You're going to have to pare down administrators. You're not going to need all of the cooking apparatus. I note that New Bedford schools, they have this new super deluxe kitchen on North Street, North and Kempton, which is state of the art. It's a great looking facility, but it's not going to be that necessary when you pare down like this, because A, you're not going to have as many students going to the traditional monopoly-oriented school. And so you're paring down because you don't have anywhere near as many students. But you're also going to pare down because those that do go to a traditional school, they're not going to have to go to school as long as they're going to school right now. So get rid of that thought about, well, there's our babysitter. But for many of us who started school in the, let's say, early 1960s and the 1970s, there wasn't all of this extended programs. There wasn't kindergarten in school. There wasn't preschool involved with the school system. It seems as technology gets better, the system, the government system, wants to try to bring in more students because they get paid for butts in the seats. Artificial intelligence doesn't look at it that way. What I'm trying to do is get some type of price tag on what this would cost, because, and of course, I understand not everybody's going to be able to go out and have their own artificial intelligence system, but enough people will. And it's a good family investment. So let's say your price tag is $5,000. That's probably a bit on the high end, but $5,000. It becomes your teacher, and who knows, you can probably get a few more gizmos attached to it. It could also become your Rosie. Remember Rosie from the Jetsons? Rosie also did breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Because, families are so used to going out to eat right now. Yeah, it's a scary proposition, I fully admit. I think a woman friend said that last night after listening to the show. It's scary. And I said, well, what do you think people were saying after the Wright brothers went up for 9 minutes? Yeah, it was scary then. We still have flights going on. Wind turbines falling off into the ocean. That's a scary proposition, but I don't think the wind energy is going to be stopping unless it's forced to stop. There are many things that are scary in life that we have grown accustomed to. And I think it's in a process right now. Chat GPT, is that right? Chat GPT, GTP, whatever, that chat thing. It's out there. And it's making headway every day. And I don't know that it's going to be the Chat GPT that we're looking at as far as teaching kids in school, but it already is. And of course, now you're going to start hearing about plagiarism. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here foolish enough to believe that there won't be plagiarizing, but there's already plagiarizing. You don't need that type of artificial intelligence that as your teacher to think that, that's the only way plagiarism is going to happen. So there are things that we all have to watch out for. But this is a good thing because, as I stated last evening, and I'm holding firm on this. The city of New Bedford has a school department budget somewhere between 200 and 216, I think I was told, $1 million. And somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on that figure. If you were to cut 3/4 of that money and be allowed to give it back to the taxpayer, that is more than a win-win. And you're saying, well, where do you make the cuts? You're not going to need anywhere near as many people because you're going to have people learning on their own. They're going to, just like remote learning, this Chat GPT allows that to happen. And I'm using the generic term. Artificial intelligence allows that to happen. And to get a quality education. What's going to happen to all the school personnel? Same thing that happened to factory workers many moons ago. Eventually, they landed on their feet. So this is going to be a huge adjustment period for all of us. But it's happening, and you can either be with the system that makes it happen, or you can be against it and you're going to end up like I was with Facebook back in 2009. I came in kicking and screaming. Now I'm an active participant on Facebook because I see where it helps me out. There are problems, absolutely. But you learn how to work around those problems. It's going to be the same thing with artificial intelligence and kids learning. But it's going to be better for the teacher. If I'm a classroom teacher, I'm learning how to teach artificial intelligence because, as a caller stated last evening, and I think he's absolutely correct, people have to know how to feed the algorithm for artificial intelligence. But what I'm learning is that there are kids, look, there are slow learners in schools. You know it, and I know it. But artificial intelligence can teach in the language that the slow learner understands. And I know it seems kind of weird to say something like that, but the so-called experts, they've been working on it for quite some time. And there's always going to be improvements. And again, I'm going to liken it to what is now the airline industry. From what the Wright brothers went up with back in the late early 1900s to where we are right now with the airline super jets. The technology will always be improving. And it has been. If you think about, if you have a computer at home, that first computer that you had, first one for me was a 486 Packard Bell. And now I've got a couple of computers, plus the computers that we use here, and everything is pretty high tech. Although I must admit, here at the radio station, what was high tech 2 or 3 years ago isn't so high tech. Look what we do on our phones. Did you ever think that you would be using your phone as a computer? So I impress upon you, now is the time. Doesn't matter what your age is. Now is the time to start embracing artificial intelligence.
We're coming to get our check.
This is WBSM.
coming up this weekend on Town Square Sunday, Veterans Day, November 11th, a chance to honor local veterans and visit Fort Tabor, Fort Rodman Military Museum and Veterans Memorial. President Bill Nedwich will have details on special programs at the museum and some of the new exhibits there. AHA is back on November 13th, highlighting things made in New Bedford. Kim Goddard will give us a rundown of activities. And the Hunger Heroes Food Drive looks to be especially important this year. The United Way's Victoria Grisella will have information about the November 15th food drop at Aldi's Market in Dartmouth. I'm Jim Phillips. Join us for Town Square Sunday, Sunday morning at 6 and 11 on 1420 WBSM and 99.5 FM.
The government may be shut down. Legitimate business funding remains open. See for yourself at legitimatebusinessfunders.com. Legitimatebusinessfunders.com.
People ask all the time, who the heck is low-cost airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rate you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-221-6085. 800-221-6085. 800-221-6085. That's 800-221-6085.
With the state of today's economy, it is more important than ever to invest in products that last for years to come. As the seasons shift and get cooler, make sure your closet is stocked with durable layers that stand the test of time from American Giant. American Giant's clothes work harder and are wearable season after season. Their greatest hoodie ever made is made of the highest quality materials that are cut and sewn right here in the United States. So you're investing right back into your local community. Choosing American Giant means taking a stand for American manufacturing and hardworking Americans, something other mega corporations don't care about. From fleece to knit, all in a range of colors for versatile daily wear, American Giant delivers everyday pieces designed for everyday life. Feel the difference of quality made-to-last clothes from American Giant. Get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20 at american-giant.com. That's 20% off your first order at american-giant.com with code STAPLE20.
Lowe's knows that saving is always top of mind, especially this season. That's why we've picked some great deals for early Black Friday. Get free select DeWalt, Cobalt, or Craftsman tools when you buy a select battery or combo kit. More tools? Why not? Plus, we've got select pre-lit artificial Christmas trees starting at $59.98 because it's never too early to think Christmas. Get Black Friday prices without the crowds. Lowe's, we help, you save. While supplies last, selection varies by location.
When your company earns unlimited 2% cash back on all purchases with Capital One, that's serious business. So Stephen at SandCloud got a serious business card, the Spark Cash Plus card from Capital One.
We used our 2% cash back to help build our retail presence.
Savvy, Stephen.
And we get big purchasing power, so our business can spend more and earn more.
The Spark Cash Plus card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/SparkCashPlus.
Freedom Pools on WBSM. Here's more with Brian Thomas.
That's what I want.
Education is going to get better. And I think the best way to do that is really turn the teacher in front of the classroom model on its head and allow technology to do what it can do really well.
But what can it do really well? We'll talk more about that in the coming days on the different shows. You know, I got a little blip of what ABC is going to talk about. the U.S. Senate is meeting. Yeah.
October brings it all. Halloween parties, game day tailgates, crisp fall nights. At Total Wine & More, you'll find just what you need for them all. Whether you're hosting friends or enjoying the cool fall air, you'll find thousands of wines, spirits, and beers at the lowest prices. Mixing up something spooky? Total Wine & More is your cocktail central for all your Halloween concoctions. With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find at Total Wine & More.
Pickup and delivery available in most areas. See TotalWine.com for details. Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Drink responsibly. B21.
Lowe's knows that saving is always top of mind, especially this season. That's why we've picked some great deals for early Black Friday. Get free select DeWalt, Cobalt, or Craftsman tools when you buy a select battery or combo kit. More tools? Why not? Plus, we've got select pre-lit artificial Christmas trees starting at $59.98 because it's never too early to think Christmas. Get Black Friday prices without the crowds. Lowe's, we help, you save. While supplies last, selection varies by location.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.